Hi. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. The DL for all ambassadors. I want to sincerely say a big thank you and a welcome from MindtheGap. And we want to say thank you once again for joining us this morning. And we are so excited to have you all joining us from across Nigeria. And you know how we do it and the rules and how we go about it. Just tell us where you're joining us from and tell us how exciting you are to be part of us in this month national CDS meeting. I have no doubt that today is going to be exceptional because we are dealing with a very timely topic. And ladies and gentlemen, today promises to be so exciting. Today promises to be so educating. Today promises to be so informating. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, we want to say a big thank you for joining us. We want to say thank you for being a good ambassador of the Mind Gap and meet that CDS. We want to say thank you. So just tell us where you're joining us from and tell us one thing you're also grateful for, right? Let's have it that way. Tell us where you're joining us from, the state you're joining us from. I'm also looking at the chat box so I can actually announce where you're joining us from. I can see Zainab joining us from Oyo State. That's very important. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for joining us from Zainab for joining us from Oyo State. We're seeing also from Oyo State, Akido. Thank you so much. Nasarawa State, Friday. Thank you so much. So we're looking at other states joining us. We're having Hasimiu from Abuja. Thank you so much. KB State, Yakubu. Let's keep populating the chat box so we get to know the states that are represented here. We have Rashidat from Kwara State. You're all welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Let's keep populating it. Awesome. Simeon from Benue State. Thank you. All right, without further ado, we are just going to go straight to why we are here this morning. We are here to discuss the main topic that we have in front of us: problem-solving mentality, the capacity, and community. A proven strategy for personal, organizational, and national success. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you a question. Are you having a problem-solving mentality? We're going to be diving deep into this topic. We have our facilitator already at the backstage, and we believe that every one of us here is so excited. So we are prepared to actually get and dive into and learn from the well of knowledge of our facilitator in person of Mr. Ola Stephen. And before we go further, we are going to start with the national anthem. If you're ready, we are ready. So,
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. No tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigeria's all and proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be our symbol, that truth and justice reign. In peace all hearts will honor, and this becomes as gain. To hand unto our children, our banner we all say. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. And so with peace and plenty, Nigeria shall be blessed.
and Nigeria shall be blessed. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we say a big thank you and welcome to the national CDS of the Mind the Gap. We want to say a big thank you to all of the presidents, the ESCOs, the CDS members for their consistent applaud and consistency in finding solutions to the problem in their communities and in their CDS, also at the PPA. Thank you so much for also being a worthy Nigerian youth and also one that we are proud of. So, without further ado, I want us to also say one thing you're grateful for. Tell us one thing you're grateful for, one thing you have been grateful for. Just tell us one thing that you know that stands out in your life that you have been grateful for, right? We want to see it so we can actually say why we are grateful. For me, I'm grateful because I have the gift of life and I'm alive, right? So I don't know about you why you are grateful, but I know you have a reason why you're grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic before us today is problem solving mentality, capacity, and community, a proven strategy for personal, organizational, and national success. I wouldn't want to talk much because we have our facilitator already agitated, already waiting, and we know that he's going to do very much justice to the topic before us. Mr. Stephen Ola is a CEO of Sava Zero Tech, and he's going to be speaking to us on the topic, like I earlier mentioned, the problem solving mentality, capacity, and community, a proven strategy for personal, organizational, and national success. Ladies and gentlemen, if your hands are not too busy and your keypad are not busy, can we welcome and celebrate our facilitator for today in person of Mr. Ola Stephen Onuh. Please, can we welcome Mr. Ola Stephen Onuh? Let's celebrate him. Let's applaud him. Let's welcome Mr. Ola Stephen. Mr. Ola Stephen, you're welcome. So I asked them in the chat
Okay,
box
thank you so
to
much,
tell,
Mr. B.
yes, I asked them in the chat box to tell me one thing they are grateful for. I just thought it wise to also ask you, Mr. Ola Stephen, what are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful for the gift of life and also very grateful to have this opportunity to be with you today because, as my peers will always say, I'm more like a problem solver. And when I saw that topic, I said, "Did these people actually know what my mind is?" So,
Mm, mm. Yes, and I can also
to
attest to that
talk to the
because
youth serving
we
has been
met
all
in
my
one
life.
place.
So, I'm very grateful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can also attest to that. Thank you so much, Mr. Stephen Ola, and I will yield the baton now to you. Over to you, sir.
Okay. So, thank you so much. My name is Ola Stephen, just as he said. And I'm a software engineer by training, educational technologist, and also a lover of youths, as a youth myself, and also a capacity builder, having problem mentality and the capacity and community. So, which is we also look at it as a proven strategy for personal and organizational and national success. So, like in this topic, I'm also highlighted like in the view of aggression of socioeconomic and political state in Nigeria, a lot of people will what suffer and will struggle and get stagnant at some point, except they embrace the problem solving mentality. We'll be playing around with some slides to ensure that we have this visual follow up of all the topics I'm going to display, and I'm going to also give a lot of insight and personal experiences myself not only as a problem solver, but also as a Nigerian and the challenges we face and how we are going to get out of this struggle. So thank you so much for joining us in, and we'll get to do on well on the topic. So please let me know you confirm if my slides is visible so that we can. Okay. So screen. Please confirm if you're able to see my screen. Okay. Hello. Hello? Okay. So while the screen is coming up, okay, but are you able to see my screen before I start sharing the slides?
Yes, we can see your screen. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, can you see my screen now? Can you see the slides now?
Yeah, we can see your slides, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I've introduced the topic, and I will part the introduction that we are living in an aggressive economy where the political environment is something that we are still having to trying to understand because of the socioeconomic it has caused us, especially in modern times where we are faced with some issues of insecurity, economic hardship, uh, the exchange rate, and so many other things that are happening that we don't know how to figure some of these things out. And only problem solver, just as they said, can actually not be stagnant, because complainers are always stagnant. Because when it comes to handling problems, we are always we might always have problems. Our ability to find out different ways of solving these problems will make us to overcome some of these challenges that we have. So, as and so those who confront these problems might, with their level of creativity and their courage, will be the ones that will shape the future. And we'll be looking at certain context where we will talk about why is this important that we talk about problem solving. So the key points we need to note is that for the case of Nigeria, which faces a lot of hardship, economic problem, we'll be looking. We have issues of governance fatigue, where a lot of people are stuck. A lot of people as they are eating the first meal, they are thinking of what they are eating for the second meal. There is no progression. We are having the issues of problems of jobs, and these are some of the issues that even the youth are beginning to face it, that we see a lot of young people even going into crimes. All these things constitute the problems that we are facing as a nation. So we will be looking at the key message to this point, which is problem solvers create the future. Because if you do not solve problem, it means you have no future. And we will now be asking some kind of questions to understand these things very much to concept in a more philosophical way. So what exactly is a problem? That's a question we need to ask ourselves. What is a problem? What do we call something a problem? So we call something a problem when there is a gap between what is and what it should be. So if take for example in the education system, what is this current system of the education we have in Nigeria? What should it be like? When it comes to security, what is the current situation of security in the country? What should it be? If it is housing, what is the current situation of housing in Nigeria and what should it be? And this will now be inviting us to think and to come out with better outcomes of solving the problem. And problems are not just necessarily punishments from a philosophical view of it. Problems are challenges that gives us opportunity to express ourselves and express our creativity. Just as John Adams quotes that every problem is a disguised opportunity. So we'll also be asking another question: who do problems affect? Who suffers when there is problems continue to persist? Is it individuals? Is it organizations? Is it nations? So the key for thought we need to look at is that when problems are ignored, they multiply, and everyone pays the price. Take for example the issues we are having in insecurity in Nigeria. You see at year 2010 when we started having issues of bomb blasts. The government tried their best, but the international community and some of the stakeholders were looking at it as just like an internal problem. But we see how it has spread now has become persistent and is affecting a whole lot of aspects in the economy, then what also happens if no one solves a problem? What are the consequences of inaction? So the key point we look at is problem grows into crisis. Like these security issues we are having in Nigeria, it has grown into, it's gradually becoming a crisis. We have issues of job, which is going into crisis. Talents are wasted, institutions are collapsing, we are losing our society. If some of them we look at as very strange things have consistently becoming normalized, then what happens if every problem is solved? So we are looking at, if no problem is solved, what happens if problem is solved? A world of innovation and prosperity and what? Peace, because we will not be having a lot of things to do with. Families will be stable, organizations will be productive, and the nations will be progressive. And life will become also more meaningful, and will also create a lot of opportunities for ourselves. So the key idea is solving truth to human advancement. I will give an analogy, sorry, of recent where challenges to move ahead, solving these problems also gives us some level of fulfillment. So is it possible? Is it possible to solve every problem? Really solve every problem? The point is that not every problem can completely be eliminated, but problem can be what? Improved. So we'll also have progress in solving one level of challenge and preparing for what? The next. And the goal is not what? Perfection, but it's true persistence. And this point, it will, as a Nigerian and I've been in the area of trying to solve kind problems and providing solutions, it is one of the issues that has been our major setback in this part of the world, where we do not strive for progress, we strive for perfection. That if you are presenting a solution to a particular organization, they are trying to see how you will perfectly solve it. We don't have the mentality of versioning, that when we do this version, we can do and improve. Once you present a solution that we can do and improve, they look at you as somebody who is not competent, and they begin to cite problem of how it is done in the UK, it is done in the Korea. But in the real sense is that we cannot, Korea did not become Korea overnight, or the United States did not become the United States overnight. So they did these things what? Progress by progress, as you can see with the different innovations in the area of transportation, in the area of communications, in the area of education. You can see technologies like artificial intelligence, even innovations are coming into transportation, where a person like Elon Musk is building a transport system that can take somebody from one part of the world to another part just less than an hour. You can check about SpaceX Starship, and he has already been doing a lot of experiments, blowing a lot of rockets, and he's trying to progress little by little. So this is a problem-solving mentality that he's trying to put. A lot of people were doubting him when he started, but people are now beginning to agree that some of the issues that he raised when it comes to progression are actually achievable. When he talked about reusing rockets, which has made internet connection around the world improved through the Starlink satellite, a lot of people were doubting him that it was never possible. But every year he launches more rockets than the whole world put together, every other company put together, because it continued with progression in developing the solutions, and you can see the things like electric cars coming up every day. So the three major pillars that we have, the three pillars of problem solving, is how can we become effective problem solvers? This is a very, very important question on why we have this presentation. First of all is the mentality. Secondly, the capacity. And thirdly, we have what? The community. So we could visualize it like a triangle where we have So we, for mentality, we talk about, to visually express it, we are looking at what? The mindset. So believe every problem has a what? A solution. And we look at what? Capacity, which builds skills and knowledge to find and execute that solution. And we also have what? Community, which we collaborate others with others, and one no one changes the world alone. So you have to work with people with like mindset to be able to change the world. So let's talk about the problem solving mentality. So we believe that every problem has a solution, and every solution creates what? Value. So if we see a problem and we are not seeing the solution part of it, it means you don't have the mentality. And it makes you, having that mentality that every problem can be solved, makes you shift from being what? A complainer to becoming a creator. And what are the three major pillars of problem solving? One, ownership. For example, how many people have waken up and said that we have the education system of Nigeria is a problem, it's our problem. So how can I solve it? That mentality alone is making you ownership, because a lot of things that we do in this part of the world sometimes is to shift blames. That this person is supposed to do this, the government has not done this. The only person that don't even complain about the government is the president. From my own analysis, that only the president doesn't complain about the government. And when he comes out from that seat, he too begins to complain of government, because we are not taking ownership of what? Some of these problems. And another pillar is what? Optimism. To say that we can actually get the best value of after anything we are doing, we not try to develop the mentality of optimism, where we think of the best possible solution and the best outcome of solving problems. And also actions too. The problem solving, it doesn't end with what? Imagination. It has to continue with what? Actionable steps. And we can change from what? We now change our mindset from what? Instead of seeing something as a problem, we are begin to develop this problem mindset. So if we look at, I will give a very simple analogy. This is one of the parts I'm working with, because also I will not just come and play slides for you. I have to share my personal experience. When it comes to the area of the education system, what are the innovations what is happening to the education system? First is we can say a lot of digital tools are not being used in the classrooms. You look at universities, they are not adopting these skills. Almost every university in Nigeria still has to rely on what? Using marker on whiteboards. Lecturers don't do research in sending slides or document. We don't see things like animation. We don't see innovations like virtual reality being brought into education. So we have in an education system more distractions than things that will attract people to learn. And I've been a software developer for close to 15 years now, and it was a problem, and that made me to learn to develop capacity in the area of 3D modeling, some of these animations and game development, so that I will not just be there complaining of the education system. I should be able to make a move towards solving problem, and that has also helped me a lot to build my profile, to increase the number of people I've met. I've used that to increase my network and also do good business, because these are some of the things I showcase as myself becoming a problem solver, to ensure that I don't just become a complainant like everybody, but at least I have the capacity to solve some of this problem, which will lead us to our second point, where we look at problem solving capacity. So a mindset without skill is powerless. So we develop capacity through, first of all, critical thinking and analysis. So you should be able to think critically to analyze the different parts of this problem. What are the extent? What is the scope? Who does it affect? What is the long-term issues with this? Then you now that will now give you the skill you have, because without skill, there is no innovation, there is no creativity. So you enable you to develop innovation and creativity to be able to identify the different ways to solve this problem. And one of these next steps is what? Emotional intelligence and adaptability, which is becoming a menace in a society, where people react emotionally to rejection, to being talked down, Those are some of the things that should be turned into motivation. Because if you don't have the emotional intelligence to be able to adapt to any environment you are, whenever you bring an innovation and people look down on it or do not accept it, you begin to react emotionally, you begin to rant, you begin to cause blames. And at the end, that is why we have a lot. This Japa syndrome is very common in Nigeria. A good number of persons that are living in this country are the highly skilled ones that could solve the problem of this country. But whenever they are faced with rejection and challenges, the next thing is that they leave and go to another man's land. So sometimes you even begin to see them complain of racism. Some of these things they complain of. Me personally, if I go, I've never, some of the encounters I have had, my level of being calm and being adaptable, as they'll ask you a question. Like, I'm currently in Lagos doing a training with SOMAS, as you see in my cap, which is a surveillance system that is being adopted around the world. So many persons were asking me that, do you actually get angry? I said, I am, why everybody gets angry, but I'm emotionally intelligent enough to be able to adapt to what you are saying. So I focus more on why are you saying what you are saying, and even to what you are saying emotionally. And that should be one of our keys to opening opportunities, where you do not back up because the other person is not understanding from your own point of view, and you are not being able to adapt, and you are running to where you are going to survive than being in a place where you will become, where you will live the life the way you are supposed to live it, that it is destined to you. So we also look at the issue of what collaboration and what leadership. So not being developing the skills to be able to collaborate, where everybody just wants to become a champion and to bear a very big problem. So we should develop that capacity of being able to do what? To collaborate and to be able to develop leadership skills, which is what? Putting people together to be able to identify problems, develop capacity, and possibly solve them. And also becoming a lifelong learner. So if we are developing that mindset of always learning, learning, unlearning, and relearning. These are three features of what make that somebody a lifelong learner. Then what we will look next. The next point is what problem solving community, developing a problem solving community. So communities of problem solvers drives the real change. So if people solve problems in isolation, it will not make the desired level of impact that they're supposed to make. I will give an example for the developers group. Within something we call the Google Developers Group, that is a community that developers come together with, organized by Google. One of the issues I find is that the set of developers will come together every year to collaborate, to which they were supposed to collaborate, talk about solutions, talk about way forward, form costumes, build specialized community, and try to involve. But some of the issues that we face there is that they do not focus more on collaboration. It is more of the show off, to socialize, to party, to brag about what they are doing, not really for the level of sharing opportunities that they were supposed to do. And shift from division to shared purpose and collaboration, and also establishing like local hubs where citizens can co-create solutions. How many words in Nigeria have where young people come together to talk about solving solution of that problem? What we have are things like Bet Niger or clubs or beer parlors where people just come and brag to themselves and go back and sit down. But we don't have where we have hubs where children will come together to put together to see how they can develop themselves. Youths can create physical meeting places where they can come to promote teamwork, innovation, and also share what leadership insights. So we will now look next at the context of Nigeria specifically. Nigeria faces the economic political challenges, and in this this is not a time for us to focus on the complaining part, because if you want to complain in this current situation, it means you have to be complaining about what? Everything. And when we are having a country where we can say the system is almost failing, that is where the real innovators will what? Emerge, because people will begin to pay attention and will begin to adopt problem problem solving innovations. So you will ask yourself, what problem am I positioned to solve? As an individual, as a core member, when you what you have studied in school, backgrounds you have had, what particular problem can you solve for Nigeria? If Nigeria is too big, let's look at your state. What problem can you solve in your state? If your state is too big in your local government, what problem can you solve? What problem can you solve in your world? But most times we focus on maybe solving our financial problem where we want to gain money to survive or to snap good pictures to upload on social media. Last time went out in the evening and I saw some group of girls, the way they were packaging themselves to snap pictures, just to make sure that they try to oppress as much as possible. So you see everybody living as if they are billionaires, but everybody is complaining as beggars. But instead of trying to solve economic problem, we focus more on what? Showing off. So what problem can we solve as what? Individuals. So what is the path forward? We rearrange education, focus more on competencies and not what? Certificates. To say, yes, I have a degree in this, I have a degree in that, I'm a core member, I am serving now. Apart from the remove that certificate from you, what is your competence? Is some of the questions to ask ourselves. And from the part of the government is what? Reforming institutions and rewarding innovation and integrity. This will not be a challenge we'll have to put to the government, but as an individuals, how do we help these institutions to reform? I am like the lead trainer with University of Abuja when it comes to innovation in teaching and research. I work with their center. When I went to the center, I'm close to the vice chancellor. He sends me to any department because he knows there's one or two values I can add. And he said, please work around with this department without giving me all the necessary support. From my own end, I struggle to help the institutions to develop websites, at least some level of training. And it has helped me to build my profile a lot, that when I go anywhere and I speak, that I am from University of Abuja, everybody wants to listen to me. So this, we can, as individuals or as groups, as CDS groups, helps also institutional reforms and review value, honesty, accountability, and what? Service. So the sense of service, you are common members, I shouldn't tell you what service is all about because you know that very well. But service is something that is lifelong. It doesn't end when you finish your NYC. It's something that you have to do for the rest of your life, serving humanity with your best capacities that you have. Then also, these actions will enable a culture of what? Problem solving. It's when you look at all these things put together, you can develop actionable tasks towards problem solving. So the key takeaways is that we identify problems, we analyze and collaborate, we build your own capacity, take actionable steps, learn and take corrections because you'll always be perfect and you can from then impact and what? Change the world. So I will conclude by saying that the world rewards what? Problem solvers, not complainers. If you have a solution that can pay 10 million people, the solution that people can pay you 10 naira and you're selling to 10 million people, it means you already want 100 million. Think of how we identify some of these problems, not just focus on gisting about this problem, but to solve them. And also, Nigeria's future depends on what? Thinkers, builders, and reformers. Of recent, it's been long. I even do public talks on motivations. I try to focus more on what? Building things, thinking about problem, building solutions, and try to do what? To collaborate and push policies that will enable us to reform our society for a better Nigerian society. So problems are not causes, but cause for what? Greatness. You should remember that problems are not what? Causes. It causes you to become great. So let's build a nation of creative and collaborative what? Problem solvers. So that will be my presentation for now. So thank you so much for joining this presentation, and I think I will need to handle because of my time is already running out fast. So I will hand over to the moderator to continue with the section.
Thank you, Mr. Ola. Thank you so much. Thank you. Come on. If you know you've been excited, if you know you've gotten information, if you've known that you gained some things from what Mr. Ola have spoken about, can you just give Mr. Ola some good thumbs up? Good thumbs up. Give him some fire, right? If you have something, some good money you can actually give to him, right? Give him some virtual money, like just give him some virtual money. All right. Without wasting much of our time, I want to say a big thank you to you, Mr. Ola. We're going to go straight into question and answer. But before we go into question and answer, we are actually going to be speaking to what we have learned so far from Mr. Ola. So I want you to help me populate what you've learned from Mr. Ola. He said it begins with us having the value of positivity and never-ending problem-solving skills. Beautiful, never-ending problem-solving skills. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what we all need as we speak. No matter what phase in life you meet up with, that is what you need. Never ending problem solving skills. According to Pizar, he said, I hope you know that there are actually problem solvers who suggest solutions to the government through submission of proposal, innovative ideas, etc., but receive zero feedback. I think this is literally like a contribution, right? Like a contribution, and also in turn a suggestion or a question. But I want to throw more light on this because this is also a problem. This is also a problem. Submitting your proposals, not getting feedback, not receiving feedback, it's also a problem. But I want to tell you that there's also a way. There's also a way. One of the ways you can look at it is I'm still going to call up the facilitator to also speak to this. And if we have our questions, let's keep it coming. One of the ways you can actually speak to this is to align whatever you're doing with government agenda and policies, and you also start doing it without even writing to them. At the point where these things can speak for themselves, and that is why you have non-governmental bodies that are doing so much, and you have private sectors that are doing so much. For example, I'll make use of Dangote as an example. Dangote doesn't need the government approval right now because he's already doing something that is attracting them. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it means that you can actually start your solution gradually and connect it to the grassroots before you come to the state level and to the federal government level. Before you know, you would be attracting them, right? So because of the bureaucracies and so many things that are happening in the government sector, your files might not be even receiving the right attention it's needing. So what do we say? You can actually start doing something. No matter how little you can start, just keep doing. It's in the doing, the provision for the heights you're looking for will be met. So thank you so much. And I would call the facilitator on board to actually see to this question and meet up with this question and speak to it from his own perspective. Mr. Ola, you can actually do justice to this question. Thank you.
Okay, so the question was like looking at submissions of government proposals and innovative ideas, and but get zero feedback. Yes, I'm in a very good position to tell you that, and I have actually done that too to some extent, and I see a lot of zero feedbacks because I will tell you why. Some of these issues that you see getting zero feedback is because maybe it is passing through somebody who is not benefiting directly from it, or he doesn't want you to bring a solution that comes to replace him in the office. So with his survival skills, what does he do? He kicks it out, and he does some of these things what fly or thrive. It is not so everything that happens has a reason why it happens. So the question is you navigating why are these things kicked out? It is not just you reacting to why there are zero feedback. It could be that it doesn't align with government policies, and that's why they're kicking it back. Or it doesn't benefit somebody that they are taking it to, but that's why it's kicking it back. So Nigerians will, especially in this part of the world, will always want to put on the government as if we ask God can do for us, and ask God to do what government can do for us. It's a mispriority. Earlier, we used to have missionary schools that go around creating schools and educating people. Now we shift everything to government, and the system is failing. So, in our micro way, just as Mr. Mayowa said, we can begin to create this little impact and share, collaborate, create societies that can see from our own point of view. And it's a short example. You have children that are playing around, they are not always wanting to be serious, seeing them joining gangs. I created a system where I trained some of them that were interested in learning how to use computer skills. And now those ones are training themselves, and they have formed a very big community of what trainers, that every child in that particular community, whether you are a member of the church or not, you have access to what getting free computer training. It's a simple way where that problem is solved. If I can pitch these things to a partner somewhere, or somebody in the neighboring, in the closest church or the closest community, if government sees, oh, these things are actionable and they are doable, they can invest in it, talk with partners, and it becomes a team. Even the NYC is an initiative of government. You might not rightly say that it was Kubugo one that came with that idea. It might be somebody's idea, but it's because the person has maybe one or two organizations that are related to this, to the NYC, and that is why it was adopted as a government policy. Even the digital literacy for all partners with what some of these NGOs, a few number of them that I know is being met. So just as I said, align what you are doing with government policies, then start from scratch. Start from the smallest level of impact you can create, because the government cannot solve all these problems overnight. So I think that was how I was. Then another issue, it begins. Somebody, is this a contribution? He said it begins with us having the value of positivity and never ending problem solving skills. Exactly. And that's how it's going to be, that problems, every problem as a great opportunity. So thank you so much for that. If there is no other questions, I think the moderator can now continue.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ola. We're grateful. Thank you. Guys, let's keep our question coming. Problem solving mentality. Problem solving mentality. Problem solving mentality. It is very important that we. Okay, go ahead, please. Go ahead. Mr. Ola, you want to say something? Go ahead.
While I will also add to that, sometimes while as a youth, you identify a problem and you're trying to solve it. A lot of people might be looking at you as if this person doesn't know what he's doing, and he had no correct. People are using you. Let me give you a point. If people don't use you, you are going to end up being a useless person. It's a point we need to understand, that you need to at least use to become useful. So have that at a part of your mind, as a mentality, developing a mentality of problem solving, that you need to make some level of usefulness, and also volunteering. It's also a very great aspect of problem solving, because you will not want to solve a problem and just go solve the problem and they pay you. You have some level of volunteering or testing phase before that problem can be a solution that you yourself can even benefit from, financially or otherwise. So we have another problem here. Okay. Align with, I think that is more of a contribution.
Yeah, feedback. Yeah.
So we also have another suggestion that Federal Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, through MindtheGap, gets rich reports from what meetings like, yes, you can do that. MindtheGap will do its own, and you too can also make your recommendations too. And that is why it's very necessary for you to make comments. Everybody in this group, your comments will be what will be can be submitted and showcased to the ministry, and we will have more of these sections and have a way of expanding it for more people to join, even beyond the NYC. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate that contribution.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ola, once again. And a big thank you to you all for joining the session. We know that we have a whole lot of problems in our community, our society, our environment, and everywhere we find ourselves, there is a problem. And a wise man once said, if there is no problem, then you're not living. If there is no problem, if you're not going through challenges, then you are not living. So it is only a living being, it is only that person that is living that would go through a problem, that will go through challenges. Now, what makes you exceptional? What makes you stand out? It is your problem solving mentality that helps you to stand out. Now, is there a problem? Yes. Will there be problem? Yes. Will you encounter challenges? Yes. What will now be the way forward? It's for you to actually find and have a problem solving mentality. How do you go through this? One, by identifying the problem. Two, by also seeking mentorship. Three, by also being strategic. Four, by getting the right skills to be able to overcome those challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, now the challenges are going to be there. Sometimes they can be very difficult and tough. You might actually think that there is no solution, but hear me, exhaust all the options, because when you try and you try and you try and you keep trying, then you would find a solution. There is always a different approach to solve every problem. There is no one approach that can solve all problems. Ladies and gentlemen, I will say that the man that actually made the drink called 7-Up tried 7 times, and the 7th time was when he got it. He failed 6 good times. 6 good times, which means that failure, it is or will definitely be there. But now he tried the first time, he kept on trying till the 6th time he tried. The 7th, imagine he gave up on the 6th time or the 5th time or the 4th time or the 2nd time, which means that he wouldn't have actually gotten that 7-Up drink that most of us have been opportune to be part of those persons that have drank from it. Ladies and gentlemen, is there a problem in Nigeria? Yes. Is there a problem in your community? Yes. Even in your family, even in the society, because life in Nigeria is getting tougher. Newsflash for those who are not prepared yet. I am telling you that Nigeria is getting tougher. And now you only need a problem-solving mentality for you to scale through. For you to scale through. If you don't, then there will be a problem. Now you need to build the capacity, build the skills, because once you've built these skills, when things get tougher, it won't look like a new thing to you again. You've already overcome those challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to beg of you to stop the complaining mentality and embrace the problem-solving mentality. It is important that you all know that if you don't embrace the problem-solving mentality, life will be far difficult. But if you don't, but if you do, then I'm here to say congratulations, because you will do exploits beyond words. Because everything you see, you'll be seeing solution. And the problem-solving mentality is also you having a solution-minded mentality. Where others are not seeing ways, you're seeing ways. Where others are not seeing progress, you're seeing progress. Where others are not seeing you moving ahead, you're seeing yourself making ways and making moves beyond what people think that you can actually do. So, as a youth in Nigeria, what are we expecting from you? What do we expect from you? It's a problem-solving mentality. What do we expect from you as a Do Deal CDS member, as a Digital for All CDS member, as a MindtheGap CDS member, and anything you are and whatever you're trying to do in your little space is for you to actually sit up, fine-tune your skills, get through these skills, and ensure that you have a problem-solving mentality. That would help you build capacity, and you would be ensured that you have consistent revelation for you to know the next move to discover your potentials. It is when you have a problem-solving mentality, your potentials and your focus is going to align. Because along the way, you're going to find rough roads. You're going to find rough roads. And that is why we can use the parable of the sower. For those that are Christians, you get to see that some persons sowed their own on the thorn ground. Some of them sowed their own on the rough ground, on the rocky ground. But the person that sown theirs on the soil, it germinates. Now they were all challenges. If we talk about the parable of the talent, you get to see so many other ones that they gave 1 talent, buried it. The others that the ones that they gave 7, they multiplied it, which means that these are all problems. On every person that you see that is great has a problem that they have actually outreached, they have actually overcome. So we all have problems, but these problems are on different pedestals. Ladies and gentlemen, I would want you to actually embrace a problem solving mentality. How do you embrace a problem solving mentality? Mr. Ola have said it all. Mr. Ola have said it all. If you have a problem solving mentality, you build a capacity ordinarily. If you have a problem solving mentality, your community would actually be attracted to you because you carry value. And anything of value, it attracts. It doesn't need to look for crowd. It attracts itself. If you carry value, people attract themselves to you. They come to you. And that is when you have a problem solving mentality. And it doesn't end there. When you have a problem solving mentality, you need to also be strategic about it. You need to be very strategic about it. How do you have a proven strategic problem solving mentality? That is why we spoke about having yourself engaging with policies, with organizations, to connect it with what the world is doing, what EU, AU, SDG, and so on and so forth. Connect with these policies and also tell the stories about the solutions. That is where you're becoming strategic. Networking, right? And also, this would also help you to actually achieve national success. Because once you have a problem solving mentality, it will be obvious that we have you and have others standing in gap, also making impact, showing forth, and also making a big difference in wherever they find themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, we would actually give in the chat box for us to actually give us one problem in the chat box. Let's populate the chat box with one problem solving mentality you think you have. One problem that you have also solved. One problem that you are solving, right? Can we also populate the chat box so that it would actually help us to know that we all are on the same page? Precious Matthias says the problem of the problem is identifying mentors, organizations, how to go about the skill acquisition, and navigating the environment that do not expose the possible solutions. The problem of the problem is identifying mentors. Hey, identifying mentors, I don't think that's very difficult. When you have identified your area or your thematic areas, go to your social media, and there are different platforms for different things. I would recommend LinkedIn all day. Go to LinkedIn, type authorities, or go to YouTube, type authorities in that field. You're going to see a whole lot of mentors. And that is why you also have your community managers, you have your shadow officers, you have so many of us within your network that can actually refer you to people in that sector, in those sectors. Mr. Ola is also here. You can actually follow him on LinkedIn, connect with him, connect with everyone, and you can actually identify those sectors you're looking for, organizations you're looking for. It's going to be very simple. Then how to go about the skills? Ladies and gentlemen, for you to be a leader, you need to be able to know how to speak, right? Which we're talking about public speaking and so on and so forth. You need to go for leadership seminars, leadership certification, and so on. Then that is how you fine-tune and get your skills and get those things that you're looking for. Precious, I hope I've been able to respond to your question. Then navigating the environment. Hello, where you're staying is a very good environment. Your church is your mosque. Wherever you're staying, your community, your PPA, that is a very good environment to navigate a solution to that problem you're looking for. From there, you move it. That is why we have the local, the state, and the federal. You move it a stage into state. You cannot just move into the federal when you've not really gotten a niche from the local community that you are. Our city says, if a life without problems is a life without progress. Thank you very much for that. The more problems you solve, the more. So we have it says always have a skill, because In everything, your skill is your asset or make you different from others. That's your advantage. That's your advantage over others. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Your skill is your advantage over others. And ladies and gentlemen, we would say a big thank you to you. All right, we still have some feedbacks here. It says, when we solve the problems we face today, we are making things easier for the next generation coming after you. Beautiful. Can we now start seeing you telling us the problems you're trying to solve in your community? What problem are you trying to solve? Can we see it in the chat box? The problem of lack of employment. I have been able to assist someone who have been at home because he didn't go to university or higher institution, and today he's doing well for himself. Beautiful, Ian Joseph. Thank you so much. That is a very good problem and a very unique one we have seen there. Someone who didn't go to school now can do well for himself because Ian Joseph has actually helped that person to discover him or herself, right? And he is doing so much well for himself. That is what we are talking about. That is having a problem solving mindset. Can we still get some other persons telling us some of the problems and some of the solutions they've been able to provide in their community, in life of someone or something? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're under the sound of my voice, I want you to write it down today and tell yourself you are going to be a problem solver. And not just writing it down. Give yourself a timeline and start providing a solution to a problem that is around you, within you, in your community, in your PPA, around the world. Try to provide a solution and start it now. Start it now. Momo says the emphasis on personal and national success being connected is powerful. Individual growth fuels the nation. This crowns it up, ladies and gentlemen. This crowns it up. This crowns it up. All right, Joseph Ian says again, I have also helped a woman to own a shop, taking her out of a roadside to a shop. Ladies and gentlemen, we have problem solvers in these CDS. And I am proud of every one of us, even some of us that have not written us. But I'm sure. I love what Lawa says. He says, I am going to be a problem solver. And that is the right mindset there. Shekin Allah, thank you so much. All right, we have Gloria. He says, I have trained different people in graphic designing skill, and they are doing well while training others as well. That is the right thing to do. Having a problem solving mentality. Doing something. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, connect whatever you're doing with policies. Connect it with policies. Don't just do it. Connect it with the SDG and say your story. Right? Gifted. Akile says, presently, I came up with an idea to start creating content for my PPA to create awareness to the public as I was posted to museum department. And I believe not only the public, but myself will benefit. Beautiful ideas, beautiful things that we all have been doing. I wish to do more if I can only get more support. I'm a problem solver. Beautiful, Joseph. So support might come in different ways. And I want to actually speak this and say this outrightly. Support might not only come with finances, it might come as human resource. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be superly excited when it is all finances. Your support can come with you knowing someone that knows someone. And that is what we call human resource. So, ladies and gentlemen, build on your human resource. And I bet you the solutions you're going to be providing will be so much elaborated that you yourself cannot actually hold it down. Using example of Mr. Tayo Lonshude, the executive director of MindtheGap, he's a problem solver. And it's not all by finances, but with the ideas and the interest he has with the lives of people, right? And right now we can talk about him all over the world, in the globe, universe. He has proteges all over the world. And that is what we're talking about, having a problem mindset, a problem-solving mindset. Precious Matthias says, offering psychological and financial mentoring to navigate financial and mental challenges. Beautiful. This you can actually liken it to mental health, right? Mental health and financial capacity, right? That is very beautiful. Thank you so much, Matthias. Rejoice say being in this CDS automatically made me a big problem solver. Please, kudos to you. Thank you so much, Precious, for saying that. Knowing I can help people and doing it willingly gives me a good feeling. This is very, 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 very encouraging. Thank you so much. I started an NGO with 3 of my friends to curb the girl child education negligence in digital literacy called Women in STEM Alliance in Bauchi last year. Thank you so much. Big thumbs up to you. This is what we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, are you getting agitated? Are you getting fired up to actually become your own CEO, your own problem solver, or the environment problem solver? Ismail, NDA says, assisting individuals, irrespective of who they are, make the best of their moment all the time. I am glad to be here. I have learned so much from today's session and always. Thank you so much for that good feedback. We are glad. And Mary Solomon, she says, in one of our CDS outreach, I was able to help traders improve their businesses using specialized softwares by connecting them to our members who are skilled with these tools. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, we would go on and on and on and on and on to talk about the strong and big impact you all have been doing in your little capacity. For you to be part of this CDS, you all have a problem-solving mentality. I'm glad to be part of you. I'm glad to be a member and also to be the project lead for this. It has been awesome to actually have you all to be doing a lot in your community. What I will say, and I will leave us as a clarion call, is this is not the best of you. You can still do more. You can do big things on a global stage. You can do big things in your community. You can do big things wherever you stay and even in Nigeria. Problem-solving mentality is one that you need to have. You need to live with it on a daily basis, everywhere you go, everything you do, because as human, you would encounter challenges. How do you build your problem-solving mentality? You have everything within you to build your problem-solving mentality. Anytime you see something that wants to make you complain, find possible solution to it, and there you are headed to the right path and making a huge difference. I would say that thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time, for joining us, and also a big thank you to the moderator, the facilitator for today. The moderators are Adebola Adepoju. We want to say a big thank you to you and to my colleagues backstage. We want to say a big thank you, Mercy, Mr. Bukumi, and everybody. We want to say a big thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us until we come your way again. My name is Oditayo David Mayowa. I'm the National Programs Coordinator for DL for All and for MindtheGap. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you. God bless you. I see you at the top as you embrace the problem-solving mentality, which would actually yield to you having a capacity and a national success. And I know that you have the skills. You're building on the skills. Ladies and gentlemen, keep doing the good things you do and be the best that you can. Thank you so much. Until we come your way again next month, National CDS, we remain the best National CDS in Nigeria. Thank you and God bless you.